going on, guys? Oh, microphone's kind of far. How's it going? Good morning, everybody. 9:30. Finished a whole bunch of stuff this morning. I've been up since 4. Going real hard on that schedule. Andre, what's up, man? How's it going? How are you guys? Good Monday mornings. My favorite day of the week. You get to start everything over, or at least, that's what most people are doing. Let me paste this in Discord real quick. Just get that going. I was trying to take care of all this. That's why I scheduled it for a few minutes ahead of time. But, it is what it is. Want to learn coding? How? Well, stay tuned, my friend. We're doing React. If you want to learn coding, there's a whole bunch of free stuff. Krishan, what's up, dude? Aren't you at work? Go back to work. Do it. Dude, look. Chris, this is for you. You can't say React for the win and then do Vue at work. Come on. You must choose the side. By the way, if you're interested in following along, there's some links in the description. You guys can sign up for the free trial and do it with me if you want. Come back, rewatch these videos. Didn't you already know React? Yeah, so this is for you guys. Everyone's like, hey, can you teach me React? I'm like, all right, let's do it together. So we're here, making it happen. Are you doing Mern? Okay. Jens, how's it going, man?
Based on what you know so far about props, you can think of props as what React components use to talk to each other and share information. Props pass data from a parent component down to a child component. For instance, in the app component, we're passing data to the header component via the title and total players props, which are then consumed by header and displayed as content. We still need to write the props for the player and counter components. The player component should display a player's name, and the counter component needs to display their score alongside the buttons. Can you figure out how to do it? Why don't you give it a try now? Here's a hint. The player component should get 2 props, one for the name and another for the score. And player passes the counter component a prop for the score.
I don't have the sound muted. I'm just not talking. Does this course cover Redux? I think they have a separate track for that. I don't know if this one. Dana, what's up, man? What's the next project app? Chris has that idea. You gotta talk to Chris. He's at work now. You're at V-School? V-School's in Utah. I actually hit up V-School to see if I could work there, and they told me they'd get back to me. But they did not get back to me. But I don't know much about it. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Is React, Vue, and Angular for front-end dev or back-end dev? Angular's full stack, so you do both. React and Vue are front-end. So now I got to figure out how to do this here. Oh, props, okay. What did we do last time? Good morning, Tech. How's it going, man? What do I think of CS50 Computer Sense free course? I'm not sure. Haven't done it. I can't give you an opinion. What do you think of it? Think it's good? Where did I create my props? Nope, wrong one. Let's see. So there's my props there. We need to give player some props, so let's come up here to player, and we're giving it some props now. What type of issues? You wanted me to make my own key. I think that you should just include the key. So I don't know, we didn't have that much time. Chris and I were running out of time, and you wanted me to get my own API key and then plug it in. And then there was some other issue starting it up. I forget which JavaScript, but there's a little bit more to it than just the key. I spent like 15 minutes on it. Chris and I did. We're not going to steal your info, right? And I can check for your key regardless if you give it to me or not. Dana was an app. I included it in the video initially. You're definitely on the poll, so people can check it out if you want. But right, so we're gonna give this some props. I forget what he wanted though. Let me back up. You included the key in the form. Oh, okay. I gotcha. What does he want?
Information. Props pass data from a parent component down to a child component.
Oh, hold on. Let me format that better. So let's take these props, title, total players here. Make that look a little better, right? So then we'll do the same thing here. What does he want?
For instance, in the app component, we're passing data to the header component via the title and total players props, which are then consumed by header and displayed as content.
So what does he?
We still need to write the props for the player and counter components. The player component should display a player's name, and the counter component needs to display their score alongside the button.
Okay, so we need a name and a score. All right, let's go grab a name and a score. So to do that, let's just figure out what we did for header. So we're giving header props. We're going to do a props dot name, I guess. Here, let's come down here to player. Where's that at? Right, so player. This is where we put that, right? Then we'll use these expressions, right? React JSX expressions, I guess. Hello and good morning. Anyone want to team up and learn JavaScript basics? You don't know anything? You don't need to team up. And I don't know if that would benefit you if you did teamed up. Or did teamed up. I don't know if it would. Come on. And then we need a counter. So let's come up here. Is that the score, right? What are we doing? Yeah, counter. So here we would also give some props. Score, I guess. And then down here. What going on? What's going on, YouTube? Patrick, I can't. How's it going, dude? How's the Lambda school? You finish your warm-up? Yeah, so we need to add the score down here, right? So score equals... Can we use an integer? Oh, yeah, we can. We just got to do 35. So let's save this real quick. Let's run this bad boy. Make sure it works. Score does not work. My name works. That's good. My score? Score messed up? What's going on? Props.score. What's going on here? Hi everyone. Hey, I can't read those symbols, but I know that they're Korean. That's all I know. What's going on? Player name, Josh, score, right? So total players equals, is it the spacing? Is that what the issue is? Maybe it's the spacing. Let's see now. No? Does it give me an undefined? No. Chris, send help. What study? Aha, Arduino, what? You study HTML and CSS on your own, but some say it's better to have some idea of computer science before going into JavaScript. Not really. Not now. Not when you're starting. Did I type this wrong? Props.score, score equals that. So what is the difference here? Ah. That would be why, because I put it on the counter. I'm bad. Right, so the counter is what we're adding the props to, because that's where I added it. So we have to add it here. Got it. Sorry you had to watch that struggle bus, guys, but this is coding in real life. Also, I'm doing it out loud. Console log your props. I don't have to console log. We figured it out. I just put in the wrong spot. Got him, fam. Right there. So it's a little bit confusing. Let me explain what's going on here, if you guys care to learn a little bit here. We have this counter element or component nested inside this player component, and so we went down to the component for counter and then gave that prop there, and then we filled it in here instead of down here where I was trying to do it before. So we got it. All right, let's continue with this. Gil, I better get some points for that, fam. I did it myself.
Can you figure out how to do it? Why don't you give it a try now? Here's a hint. The player component should get two props, one for the name and another for the score. And player passes the counter component a prop for the score. Okay, how'd you do? Since player is the parent of counter, it's going to define the props for both a player's name and score. So in the app component, I'll pass 2 props to the player component.
How's your
I'll
guys'
call
Monday?
them name and score.
I'm curious.
I'll set name to the string Gil and score to the number 50. Next, I need to allow the player component to use these props. I'll pass the player function the parameter props, then replace the text in the span with curly braces and props.name. And that's going to render the text Gil. Good. So next, how do we display the score in the counter?
Well,
the same way we pass props to the header player components, just one more level deep in the component tree.
Well,
let me show
you. 7-day free trial.
I'll give the child
it says
counter
discount,
component
it's the free trial, so
a prop
I
of
don't know how
score,
much more of a
and I'm just naming it
discount
score to be consistent with the score prop passed to the player component. This prop could also have any name, and it doesn't have to match the prop name at that top level.
Anyways, you can just
I'll
see how
pass the
far you
score
can
prop down
get
to the
7
counter
days if you want.
with
Some people try to do
props.score.
the whole React track in 7 days. I'm like,
So now,
okay.
over in React
Good luck.
DevTools, when we select the counter component inside the player component,
you just be
we
doing
see that
yourself
counter
a
has a
disservice if you
score
rush,
prop
though.
with a value
Especially
of
if you're
50.
trying to get it
So now I'll
done.
use the prop inside counter by passing the counter function the parameter props and replacing the static score.
Aren't you already a React
curly
Pro?
braces
Also, hi. This
and
isn't for me.
props.score.
We're doing it together. So I'm explaining this.
And now
I'm
we get
boosting
the score
my
of 50.
ability to communicate
So now that we've
code
set up
while
our
I
player
do it
component to
on the
receive
spot.
props
Public
and pass
speaking
props
is,
down to
it's
the counter component,
been
we have a
difficult
dynamic
for a
and
lot of people,
reusable player
including
component.
me, so
For example,
this
I
isn't
can
public,
use
it's not a
multiple
crowd, but
player
it's
tags
similar.
inside the app
So it
component
helps.
to add players and scores
Okay,
to the
so
score.
now we need
So over in the browser, once I refresh,
more
we
people.
see that we now
All
have...
right, we need more people. I gotta copy paste some people. Please hold one moment. Wait. Oh, yeah, so we just need more people. Yeah. We need more people and more counters. So add more people. Oops. More people. Who wants to be in this? Armand, you can be in this. Patrick, I don't know if you're here. What's going on YouTube? Patrick can be in here. Who else? Chance. And then this guy right here. Let me just convert my keyboard real quick. Whoever this guy is, if you're still here you go, fam. You're part of the app now. All right, let's come back up, copy paste some more of these. Juan, what is up, my dude? Welcome aboard. I don't know how many people we have here. 2, 3, 4, 5, and then how many we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. One more. I think we'll, how do I duplicate this? James, what's up, dude? Do I do counter scores? Oh, I know what's going on here. It's all contained in there, my bad. So this is where we give it the name, and then I just need to duplicate some counters here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 51 people watching. You're missing the point of components. I'm seeing the point. Nice little passive aggressiveness. Just got from on a deload week, dude. Nice. All right, I may have goofed. We may have goofed here. Tyler, if this triggers you, you don't have to watch, man. Seems repetitive. It doesn't seem very dry, does it? The code is not very dry. Have fun, Lambda time. All right, later, dude. Enjoy. Smash the like button. Boom. Boom, got it. But how do I change their value? So right now it's all 35 across all of them. So let's look here. Expanding the cranium. That is what we call learning. And yes, we are. I need to make the chat bigger. Hold on. So we should probably add the counter onto the player element, right? Can we access it here? Let's see if we can access that here. We should be able to, right? So if I do this, and I come down here, does that work still? Let's see if that works. Nope. Started learning 2-3 weeks ago. Nice, dude. So, oh, 2 weeks ago. Okay. Cool, dude. How's it going? Counter score equals 1. We know. We're not there yet. We got to follow along. Let's slow it down. Right now, we're just doing props. Okay? It's been a while. So we can't access score from here, which is where you would indicate their number. We have to reuse components here, but we need to be able to put their counter inside these components here. So I don't know. I would just put all this whole div inside of this. I don't know why I have to split the player and the counter out. Omar, what's up? How's it going, man? Let's think about this for a second. We got player name, props name. So I know this works, but it only works for one score across everything. So we have to put 0, right? As Juan was saying, and then we'd add a button to increment. So that each one would be different. So that would make it reusable, right? But how is he doing this thing here? So let's
have 4 player components on screen. So this is components facilitate what's...
So he has it on the score, so my code is wrong. So that was correct. The way I did it was not reusable. Alright. Hey dude, cool stream. Clinton, thanks for joining in. Thanks for giving me a little bit of your Monday morning. Hope your Monday morning is well. Start saying that. Alright. Let's come back over here. Back up a little bit. What's he doing? He has score 50. Back up a little bit more. Oh, score equals props.score. Oh, okay, so that's a little bit, that's the meta part that we missed. Alright. I got you. So we're giving it a prop that takes props. Called score. But we're also assigning a prop down here, right? So we have props in here. Then we're using it here, right? So then we actually do this. Is this the white IDE? This is the Team Treehouse workspace. It's a big change, yeah, it is. jQuery is just kind of like select what you want and use that thing and then do that thing. This is like, hey, make one thing so that you can use it everywhere rather than making just copy pasting everywhere. Make one file with all the code and then use those names. That's the point. All right, so theoretically, this was the part that messed me up here. So I was just assigning it the number here. Instead, I got to assign it to be a variable, which we then fill in down here. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Save this, open this up. Okay, so it broke. Props. Okay, it's because I spelled it wrong. Did you guys see what I did there? I opened this up. You can see the errors happening. Prop. I don't know if you can read that. Prop is not defined, which means I spelled it wrong. I'll walk you through that. Zach Jackson, welcome. How's your Monday morning mechanical engineering job? All right, we got it. Hamero, there's a stream donation link down there if you want. There's a Patreon also. But you know, just by showing up, watching the streams, interacting with people. Sound seems to be working. How many React topics are we doing today? I don't know. We'll just keep going for maybe an hour or so. That'd be good. We've been here for 20 minutes, so. Sifting through emails. What a great use of time. What is even better are meetings that should have been emails. But, you know, that's how it goes. How hard was it for me to get a job after mine? I mean, was it hard? Yeah, it was hard. How hard? I think that's kind of subjective. I stayed up all night trying to do a code test that I thought I failed, but I did okay. And then they said no anyways. So basically, my first job told me no, but I didn't accept that as a reasonable answer because I wanted to do code. And I was like, all right, look, you're going to tell me no. Let me do part-time. Call me an intern, right? Let me be part-time. You can tell your investors that you're hiring top young tech, fresh talent out of boot camps, whatever. That's the hip new thing. It'll make your company look good. Lots of people want to apply and work here, and then your company will grow. And he was like, oh, that's a good point. And so then I got the job. Well, they said, let me think about it. And he called me back a few days later, and I was just prepared to work for free. GitHub down. Rip. Yeah. You love meeting, though? Burns up time, and you get paid for that? I don't know. You shouldn't sell your time for money, in my
replacing
opinion.
the static score with curly braces.
That's like a terrible. People are like, oh, it's an easy day at work.
And now we get the score 50. So now that we've set up our player component to receive
if you
props
don't have a choice,
and pass props down to the counter component, we have a dynamic and reusable player component. For example, I can use multiple player tags inside the app component to add players and scores to the scoreboard.
Or something.
So over in the browser, once I refresh, we see that we now have 4 player components on screen, each with its own properties. So this is where the concept of independent, self-contained, and reusable components begins to manifest itself. Components facilitate what's known as separation of concerns. That's the idea that each component in your UI should be responsible for one thing only and shouldn't contain extra code that handles other things. In other words, each component addresses a specific concern. For example, counter is just responsible for displaying a score, which you can increase and decrease. We'll build that feature later. Player only displays player info, like the name and score counter. The header doesn't get reused, it only appears once. However, extracting it to a component that's only responsible for the header content allows our app component to be easier to read and think about. It also reduces code complexity and improves maintainability. Now, right now, we're just passing our component's static values as props. Normally, this information could be coming in dynamically from a database or API, for example, or passed down from the main application state, which you'll learn about in the next stage.
And then my hand started to freeze up yesterday because of the lack of electrolytes. And then I swapped over. I've done ketosis and I've done intermittent fasting where I only eat once a day, or from 4 to 10 p.m. is when I eat, and I got super shredded on that too. And I got to eat like pancakes for dinner, and whatever else. So that was nice. So I'm probably just gonna do that instead. I did ketosis for so long last time. I thought it would be good, but like I'm tired of eating bacon. I know that's like ridiculous. Who would say that? But I am.
We need to improve how players are used in the app.
Wait, companies look good for hiring out of boot camps. I mean, you can. That's what I sold them. I was like, it'll make you look good, right? All these boot camps. Because the startup just wants hungry people. It was a startup. Maybe I forgot to mention that. But startups are just looking for hungry individuals that want to work, right? And they don't have a lot of money. but you don't care because you just want a job. And so hungry person that doesn't care about money but just needs enough to live and maybe, you know, go see a movie. And then startup that doesn't have a lot of money because it's a startup and they just want hungry people. And so it's like a match. And so that's what I sold them. I was like, you got a bunch of hungry boot camp grads that just want to work, right? And it like will go above and beyond versus some guy that probably has a lot of experience, knows his value, you know, I'll get to it when I get to it. That was what I sold him. That was my perspective. And he was like, all right, let me think about it. And he said, yeah. And they paid me $18 an hour. And I was like, heck yeah, I'm getting paid for this. Let me work remote too, 2 days a week. And they were like, let me think about it. And then they told me I could. And then on the days that I had work remote, I was like, I don't know what to do. This is a bad idea. So I didn't get paid for those days most of the time.
Currently have 4 hard-coded player components inside the app component.
God,
now, if you've
so
built a JavaScript application in the past, you may have looped through an array and used the returned information to build strings of HTML elements that you insert into the DOM. Ideally, in our app, we would have an array of players and render a player component for each player in the array. In this video, we'll do just that. I'll teach you how to iterate over data to produce a list of elements. In this case, player tags.
Welcome aboard. How's
First,
your Monday?
Let's define our players array. We'll write it at the top of app.js for now. Create a variable named players. It will be an array of objects, each object with a name and score property. I'll paste 4 objects into the array, and you can copy these from the teacher's notes with this video. So now, to get this players data into our application, I need to pass the players array as props to the main app component. So down
we're doing JSONs.
The React DOM.render method, I'll add a prop named initial players to the app tag. Then I'll pass it the players array by writing the variable players between curly braces. If I bring...
I know what to do. I think I can take it from here. Well, actually, is there some code I can copy? I don't want to write that
React
JSON by
DevTools
hand.
and select the app component. You can see that it's now taking in an initial players prop, and its value is an array containing the 4 player objects.
They know.
So next, to use these props inside the app function, we need to pass it the parameter.
Lewis Hughes, how's it going? The tutorial is talking too fast. Don't worry about it, man. I'm here to explain. Just drop some questions if you got. I think it goes pretty slow at 1x. I listen to audiobooks pretty fast, so I'm used to hearing this. Maybe you guys don't, but I get kind of complacent and I start skipping through and I miss things, so it's better if I just play it fast. All right. So let's come back up here. We'll call it players. How's React on Treehouse? Yo, I'm digging it. Takes you from the basics. You can learn React without having to do all this, but I think understanding this is significantly helpful. Right, so...
For props. Now inside the app component, we have access to props.initialPlayers. So what we want to do is iterate over this array and return a player component for each object in the array. For this, I'm going to use the map iteration method on the array. If you're not sure how to use map, be sure to watch the Treehouse videos posted in the teacher's notes. You'll likely use map quite a bit in React to loop over data. Now remember...
Treehouse workspace needs a dark theme. Yeah, I know. My retinas are dying. I'm gonna have to wear sunglasses to do this. Good point. All right, let's continue. They seem a little dusty, but I think they're okay. I like that fingerprints. Have I ever done React course on Udemy? Nah. See you guys later. Gotta pay attention to class. Yeah, I should probably do that. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate your time. Well, I guess you can't hear me because the audio is muted. I'll just wave. Bye. All right, let's come down here. Give this some props. Let's see what he's doing. Let me back up a little bit. I missed.
Named initial players to the app tag. Then I'll pass it the players array by writing the variable players between curly braces. If I bring up React DevTools by writing the...
Very good course so far. Initial, why can't I spell that? Right. We got players. What did he call it up there? Players, yeah.
Players array as props to the main app component. So down in the React DOM.render method, I'll add a prop named initial players to the app tag. Then I'll pass it the players array by writing the variable players between curly braces. If I bring up React DevTools and select the app component, you can see that it's now taking in an initial players prop, and its value is an array containing the 4 player objects. So now...
Wait, what? I missed it again. I'm looking at chat too much. App equals initial players. Okay. Let's come back. Is that what he put there? What should you do after completing Python Django to complete your stack? Well, you need a front end, probably a dedicated front end. Probably that would help. You're gonna get blind. Can you display the folders and files at the top of the app of the left pan? This isn't Visual Studio. This is, well, okay, so actually, Tech, you can see there, well, I don't know what I'm moving. Tech, it's right there. The folders and files are there, but I'm just putting my thing up there. I don't know how to make it link, Zach. I would help, but I don't know what to do. All right, so we got our name. So ideally what we'd want to do is delete these and then just have one of these. This is bad. We don't want this. Well, I'll put it back and wait till he gets there.
Variable players between curly braces. If I bring up
we're giving
up React DevTools and select the app component, you can see that it's now taking in an initial players prop. And its value...
This is getting a little bit confusing. Do you like freelance all the time? No. All right, it's taking in players. We got initial players. We got to come up here to the app where we have player. So then we would loop over the player, right? So we would do the old player map here to loop out all of these, in which we would have to give these to be, well, they're already taken, right? So all right, yep, okay, all right, I think I got it.
Value is an array containing the 4 player objects.
Let's just make sure it's working real quick. That would make sense. Save. This is literally what he has. Yarn started. I missed something?
Then I'll pass it the players array by writing the variable players between curly braces.
I did that. Ah. That would make sense. I goofed. All right. Now what did I mess up here? Players is not defined. Yeah, it is. Does this need to be inside somewhere? Define more. What's up, man? Let's go back.
If I bring up React DevTools and select the app component, you can see that it's now taking in an initial player's prop initial location. I need to pass
players just above header, right? Oh, got it. I goofed again. Look at these little things. Code 101. But I'm multitasking, so give me a little credit. So I don't know if you're being maybe it's so white that you're blinded by it, but this non-dark theme here that's happening on the Treehouse workspace, yeah, you gotta protect the retinas. Is players an array? Yeah, but we forgot to define it as a const. So Craig, welcome aboard. All right, now for real it should work. This is life. What is life? What? What? Name a treasure? Why does it have a problem there? Any tips on finding 100% remote work? Yeah, go to remoteok.io or we work remotely. Or Stack Overflow and then check the remote box. Leaving work through your back out? Oh no. That's not good. What did I goof? Let's do a side by side here. You are correct. Thanks, Juan. Got you, fam. All right. There we go. Old person problems. You're not that old, Craig. All right. Now we can continue on. Let's make sure our React Dev tools are working. They should be. Right, now we're getting up our players in there. You can see our little people, but we have to loop these people out. We got to loop name dot or whatever props.name, props.score into the player. So we loop out that player component multiple times, and each time we take we get these variables here. So now one on the lookout. All right, so we got. Well, this is all hard-coded. So in the code, we would just have one, and it would say name equals props.name or something like that. Right, so let's continue the video.
The players array props.initial players .map. Map.
Here we go. So props.initial players. Wait, is he passing in? Yeah, we already got props happening.
Typing props.initial players .map.
All right, let's come down here. What is he doing? Oh, he's just mapping. Okay. I can't see my keyboard. Thanks for helping out the community and teaching. Yeah, I don't know if I'm teaching or struggling, but I hope it helps. I can't see my keyboard. Right, there. But that's not how map works. And then you put a function here, there. Now we map. inside of this bad boy, which what we would map would be the player. Well, I'll let you guys watch the video. I don't want to mess this up.
Map takes a callback function that receives and processes each item in the array one by one and returns a new array of the processed items. So what we want to do is map each of our player objects to a player component. I'll write the callback as an arrow function that takes the parameter player to represent the current item being processed in the array. And the function will return a player component, so I'll simply copy one of the player components and paste it inside the callback.
Oh, we're doing big arrow. All right. Well, we can do it this way too. Coding with an audience is never all that fun. Well, it's practice for those other interviews that I can bomb, you know? But it's all good. It helps me do two things at once, which is not really good for anyone, because like I'm not doing my best work here, but I'm just trying to show you guys. So it's good that I already know it. Like when I did the Python stream at first, my first few streams, I was like having hot flashes trying to explain to chat and do this at the same time. I was like, oh no, they're gonna think I'm dumb. Now I just don't care. And I embrace the fail, the cringe. Right. Yeah, we'll do it this way. Well, we'll do it this way. Just for the sake of consistency.
I'm using an implicit return here, which means that I'm omitting the return keyword and curly braces. Next, we'll need to adjust the props being passed to player. Instead of passing static values, change the name props value to player.name and the score props value to player.score. These are the name and score properties from each player item we're getting from map.
So now you can comment out the rest below. I don't know why. All right, whatever. So what this is doing, this is going to grab each one of these and take this data, name or players.name, which will give you Gil, and then Treasure, Ashley, James, and then you're doing player, well, it's a player, right? So you're looping over players, which is the multiple, well, an array with multiple objects inside of it. So it's players. But you're only looping over one at a time. So in the map function, where did I write that? Here, you have to put a singular player because you're only looping over one at a time. All right. So let's kill these. Save this. It should work. What'd I break? Ah. Syntax. It says right there. I left a little. Have I thought about making a beginner tutorial series for non-coders that want to learn for the first time? I've thought about it, but there's just so many already. There we go. So you can see each one. So now the data is separated from the components. Is MERN my favorite? I don't have one. I use what works. Just the same as you should. You can like whatever you want, but everything in web dev changes every day. So doesn't matter what your favorite is. That might not work. That might not fly anymore. Gotta be able to adapt. It's called language agnostic for the specific term. So anyways, you can see that we have our players data up here, which has now been separated out, because before I had, it was just copy and pasted. So this is what's known as not very dry. And so dry means do not repeat yourself. And we're clearly repeating ourselves by copy and pasting this 5 times and then manually hard coding this. Whereas instead we can remove all of this use it one time here, and then have the data up once right here. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Explaining that out loud makes sense to me. It just gets a little confusing when you have a player here. You're giving a player props, so props.name and a props.score, and then where are we at? We're doing props.initialPlayers, player, and then we're mapping out a player component, which takes a name and a score, but the player object, it takes a name and a score as the props from the actual player component, but, oh my goodness, but the actual keys and values, or the keys of the object up top, are name and score as well. So this could be confusing. I think what we should do here is to, I don't know, like this would make more sense, because that could get a little confusing. It gets a little confusing to me, at least. So I'm just going to change that for understanding purposes. I'm like, name equals name dot whatever. Like, what is going on here? So I just like to do it practical, keep everything differently named, so you don't have these weird naming conventions, especially when you're learning. I know it's kind of annoying, a little bit tedious. So now we have to come down here and change this. So this would be first name. This would be hits. We save this. So now it makes more sense. So this has a name prop and a score prop, and we're looping over a player's, well, we're mapping over initial players. So initial players is the value of players, which is this thing here. And then we're putting this over here, and we're mapping over it, mapping over a single player at a time and a single component at a time. And these are the keys and values. Does this make sense? Is this helping you guys? I know I'm kind of spacing out here, but if I was explaining to my own student, this is kind of how I would explain it. It's a lot easier to do on your own when you can scroll up and down like you need to. That's what I do. But hopefully, gotta have that. The name consistency, the duplication can get confusing. No one's talking, so I assume you're listening. Let's carry on. Like the song. I can't sing though.
Now we can delete the rest of the player tags below the expression, give app.js a save, and over in the browser, we see the 4 players rendered to the screen. And if you have a look at the app and React App Tools, you'll see 4 player components, each with a different name and score prop. And over in the Elements pane, you'll see that React rendered 4 divs with the class player to the DOM. Great. The header component still displays 1 as the number of total players. Well, this is a quick fix. We know that we're getting an array from props. So in the header tag, if I use the length property on props.initialPlayers, that should return the number of player objects in the array. Now it displays 4 players.
We do got to update that. All right, let me explain that here. Will this video be available after it's live? Yeah, it'll be recorded. We've been here for 48 minutes, so I'll go 10 minutes longer. I don't want to make a live stream so long that it's like really, difficult to follow when you want to watch it as a video. All right, so I was setting total players somewhere here as like a hard-coded value. Total players equals 1, right? So total players is actually, what is it?
Players.
Oh, he's just doing dot length.
That should return.
Okay. He's just counting the objects. So if you don't know what dot length does, dot length counts items in an array. If you want to get the last element in an array, do -1. Because it counts from 1, but you start at 0. So you have to -1 so that you can offset back to 0. Hopefully, I don't know if you guys needed to know that, but anyways, he's counting each one. So initial players dot length. Let's come down to initial players. The initial players variable equals this array of objects, which is up here. Like a lot of scrolling up and down. This gets confusing with code, but we got this here. So we got 1 object, 2 objects, 3 objects. So what it's doing is it's coming into this array. Okay, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, it starts at 0. So 0 well, this is how we would count it, right? So 0, 1, 2, 3. Well, how do we want to do this? Yeah, you count from one index from 0. Isn't that? I think that's what I said. It's the worst. Whoever decided this is the worst. It's the most confusing thing. What? What did I do? I deleted that. What's the error? Oh, how'd that get back there? All right. Available players 3. Yeah. So we'll just do dot length. One, 2, 3, 4. But if you wanted to use it as like an index, right? Then you'd have to do that -1. Does that make sense? Hopefully that doesn't confuse you guys. I just had to think that through as I was explaining it, but yeah. Players 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. -1 will give you the index. Or the last index. Anyways.
Turn the number of player objects in the array. Now it displays 4 players. Good, that was pretty quick and simple. Finally, in the console, React gives a warning. It says, warning, each child in an array or iterator should have a unique key prop. While this doesn't prevent our app from running, it is something we should address and fix. So in the next video, we'll dive into why this warning exists and how to resolve it.
And you have to iterate it up 1. So we're doing this map here. Oops. Where's the map? Here. We have to add a key so that each player component is unique from the last one. Otherwise, it's just copy and paste it. Okay, let's watch the next video.
In most apps, you will have a list of sibling elements that get updated, removed, added, and reordered on the page. For example, items in a to-do list app, a list of guests in an RSVP app, or in our case, a list of players. React manages what gets rendered to the DOM and displayed on the screen. In order for this process to be fast and efficient, React needs a way to quickly know which items were changed, added, or removed. For this, React gives elements a special built-in prop named key. A key is a unique identifier that gives React a way to quickly and reliably identify an element in the list. So the console warning, each child in an array or iterator should have a unique key prop, means that each item or player returned by the map function should be given a unique key prop. Yeah. React is asking us to specify a key prop on each player component to keep track of it and differentiate each component from its sibling. Since our players will eventually be added and removed from the scoreboard, it's a good idea to resolve this now. So we're going to provide a unique key to each player in our array of players. First, I'll add an ID property to the first player object and set the value to 1. Then I'll give the remaining objects an ID property and set each to a different number.
That's kind of annoying, but all right. I mean, you'd have that anyways. If you were making a request to a database, you would have a primary key on each one of these results, most likely. So it's not that annoying, but all right. Let's do that.
We need to pass player a new prop named key, and as the value, pass it an ID with player.id. Now, the React docs recommend that we use a string as the key value. So to convert our ID into a string, I'll call the toString method on player.id. I'll save the file, check the console, and now the warning is gone. Looking in React DevTools, we see that each player component has a key prop with a unique value. Again, keys need to be unique and should not be reused. For example, if I add a duplicate ID in one of the player objects, React is going to output the warning, encountered 2 children with the same key, too. Keys should be unique, and so on. And you're not always going to create keys manually like this. If your data comes from an API, for example, there usually will be a unique ID for each item that you could use for key values. Since our data comes from the static list, we're creating the ID property manually. But in the next course, I'll teach you how to auto-generate different IDs for player objects. And not all React elements need a key prop. Pass a key prop anytime you're creating elements by iterating over an array of items that will be rearranged, added, or deleted in your UI. The key will help React identify which items were changed, added, or removed from the DOM. You can learn more tips and best practices for working with keys in the teacher's notes with this video. Our scoreboard application is starting to take shape, but it's still static. The player's display never changes because we're passing a static list of players to our app, and the counter doesn't change a player's score. In order to add dynamic behavior and interactions, our app needs data that can change. A web application's UI is normally a function of the data you put into it. In other words, changes in your data result in changes to the UI, and when changes are made to the UI, your data changes in response. In the next stage, I'll introduce you to the concept of state in a React component. State is used to store information about a component that can change over time. You'll learn how components, props, and state work together to build interactive React applications. See you soon.
All right, we got questions. It's question time, boys. A component can change the value of the props given to it. I don't know. I'm not sure what this is asking. Probably this. And this is where React gets messy. Yeah, it's all good. More files. More scrolling up and down. Or more remembering the file that you're using, where those props are coming from, so that you can go back and check stuff. Which one of the following best describes properties? I don't know. Maybe hold data that changes over time. Alright, so B then. Enable the use of props. Got it. Which property should you... Oh, we need a key. Got it. What? Pass the value 100. All right. We did it. We got it. We'll pick this back up tomorrow with Gil. But I think for now, we're going to wrap up. It's been just about an hour. Perfect timing. You guys are the... I was going to put you guys are the best, so I might as well finish typing that. Here we go. We're in the future, boys. We made it. All right. Now I don't have to... Well, I don't know why I'm taking these off. How are you guys? Let's talk for a minute. How was that? Was that good? Was that bad? Do you guys want to see more of it? If you're interested in following along, again, there's the Team Treehouse link in the description. You can follow along. But even if you sign up for the free trial, it supports the channel, believe it or not. So that's why I'm adamant about it, because this is my full-time gig. So if you're interested, for real, consider it. Yeah, what else? What else we got here? Guess that's it. It's been real, guys. Let me do some shout-outs before we bounce for the day, and then I'm going to do a portfolio review video. I have to go take care of some errands, but yeah. So we got DZ Tech, Juan Craig, Zach, Michael S., Anand, Johnny PD, Max. I don't know who else. If you're lurking, before you leave, please hit the thumbs up. I would appreciate that. Lewis, thanks. Morningstar. Yellow Rapid. Yo, thanks everybody. I'll see you guys probably later for another video, and then tomorrow we'll pick this back up. Yeah, it'll be good. So I'll catch you guys later. Enjoy your Monday. It's the best day of the week. Hope you guys are as motivated as I am. I'm out.